Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to the Latin Wealth Podcast. Today's going to be a jam-packed episode as we're going to be hitting on three different topics today. We're going to be hitting on, number one, why immigrants and Latinos are some of the most entrepreneurial people in the United States today. And we have numbers and statistics to back that up. We're also going to be diving into what's going on in Argentina. Right? Why is Argentina printing a new banknote in the country of Argentina? And you're going to want to stay around for that. Very interesting information. In addition to that, we're going to be talking about ChatGPT 4.0. I would say the future is here, but no, the future has been here. This stuff is crazy, so we're going to be diving into some of what ChatGPT is. If you don't know what it is, we'll break that down. And then some of the new features of this recent update. As always, welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday, hosted by the Latin Wealth Platform. Let's jump into today's episode. Jeremiah, how is your week going so far?
It's going great, man. And it got even better when I saw the topics that we were going to be covering. So, I like 100%. AI and stuff, so it's going to be dope.
Yeah, love AI, love technology. With that being said, ChatGPT 4.0. So for those of you that don't know what ChatGPT is or never used it, number one, we'll dive into what it is. Number two, I would highly, highly recommend you just go on there and just play around with it, right? Just play around with the system, play around with the platform, ask it some questions, just to get a feel of what AI is and the capabilities of AI. So if you don't know what ChatGPT is an artificial intelligent chatbot that uses natural language processing to create human-like conversation dialogue, right? So the language model can respond to questions and compose various written content, including articles, social media posts, code, and even emails, right? So personally, I use ChatGPT for some of like the framework of the content, or maybe I'll use it as like a skeleton to what I'm trying to accomplish, and then I'll put on the meat and potatoes of what I want to do. But yeah, it's a great way to just like type in like, yo, can you create me a cover letter based on my experience, and it'll draft it up for you, right? So definitely we'll look into checking out this platform and a little bit more information about ChatGPT. OpenAI is the company that owns this platform. So just in case you hear us say OpenAI, we want you guys to understand what that is. And with that being said, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman posted that this new model is going to be natively multimodal. All right. So what that means is the model can generate content or understand commands in voice, text, or images, right? The app will be able to act as like a her-like voice or like a Siri voice, responding in real time and observing the world around you. I know that was a lot. I know we thinking we in the future right now, but it's here right now. We're gonna break this down and what this kind of means and what we can expect, right? So, Jeremiah, how you feeling about this news?
I love it. It isn't like, I think I remember us doing an episode where we talked about how long it takes to implement stuff. So you got to know that this technology was actually built probably 3 to 5 years ago. It's just taking time to actually be able to implement it because there's steps of rollout, right, for companies, and they segment it and they bring it out in consecutive times, like in different quarters and things like that for profit. They also bring it out for market share, things like that. So this has already been established. I was watching the video of it and the person was talking to it and having just a regular conversation and had the camera on so the AI could look around the room and ask it, what do you think about where I'm at? What does it look like I'm doing right now? And it was responding in real time and basically was saying what he was doing. And it was, it was wild because it was like sentient, like, right? So this is like one of the first steps that you start You already have the physical robots and stuff that Elon and all these other people are working on. So imagine you put those chips or the AI capability of ChatGPT, right, into a robot, and now you have iRobot, right? But even
Hmm.
just commenting and having those conversations and being able to react and do these things appropriately, and they're like, man, this is getting scary. I say that just me, right? A lot of people worried about jobs and things like that that are going to be coming. I say utilize it for what for what it's there for. I did a video probably about like a year ago or so about prompt engineering. That's going to be one of the greatest skills that you're going to have to understand. Prompt engineering, inputting the prompts or speaking the prompt or talking to this AI and creating whatever it is that you're trying to create. So people that are able to speak to it or command prompts, right, the AI to do what they want, and then in returns with
Hmm.
whatever they need or whatever the client needs or customer needs, those are going to be people that are going to be highly sought after, because a lot of people would go to. I've had a friend, he went to ChatGPT, and he couldn't really figure out how to get, how to prompt it to get what he wanted, and so that's going to be a skill set that people are going to
Hmm.
focus on. But I mean, overall, I think it's going to shift. It's going to shift. OpenAI is going to shift, so it's going to shift them to a different place. I think they're like 15% Tesla owned or Elon owned, excuse me, not
Hmm.
Tesla, because Elon, and then 48% Microsoft and stuff like that. So they're in a great place for just having partnerships for technology. And as they start to develop this new stuff, you can start to see it implemented in different pieces of technology with their partners. So it seems like it's on the way up.
Definitely on the way up. And you know what's interesting? Um, and like you said, there's a video out there that kind of shows what the capability is as of what it can do. And so just
Yeah.
imagine once it gets integrated with like your phone or the meta glasses, and you have the meta glasses
Mhm.
on. Shout out to Carlos. When I was with him, he was like, hit record or take a picture, right? Imagine you can say, hey, or ChatGPT, what type of dog is that? And it'll tell you exactly what type of dog it is by looking through the camera on your lenses. So it can give you real-time information and feedback. Um, Not only that, I don't know if you knew this, but this is something that's already happened. I don't remember the name of the company, but essentially the company created a device like the size of my AirPods, and it clips onto your shirt. And essentially, it's supposed to do the same thing where you press a button and you ask it, "Hey, I'm just gonna call it Siri. Hey Siri, can you tell me what the weather is outside?" And it responds back to you. It has a speaker on it. Not only that, but it has a kind of a light and a camera to where it can reflect on your hand and you can control the device on your hand. Now, with that being said, it sounds cool. It sounds great. It just was not developed well at all. Like the developers, the companies, they didn't do a good
Right.
job. The quality of it wasn't the best. I'll link a video to, or actually, we'll put a video of what I'm talking about in this video so you can check it out. But it's funny because there's some tech reviewers on YouTube. They picked up the product early and they're like, man, this thing is trash. It's like it still has a lot of developing to do, but I say all that to say, this version of Chat GPT 4.0, I can, everything they roll out has been very quality and I think, should be interesting.
I mean, you got the best developers, the best programmers.
Right.
And like I said, they've already had this stuff laid out. OpenAI has already had all these versions. They're just releasing versions now. So instead of having a time adaptation to market, we talked about that all the time. They're not having that time for that to happen. So they're gathering like more market share, right? Because behind the scenes, they don't need a beta phase because they already got everything done and they're testing it before they release it. They have small groups. I'm sure they're testing on people. They see the way, right?
Hmm.
And so when they're releasing this stuff, instead of it being a beta phase, like, and it's already ready to go. So
Yeah.
shouts out to them.
Yeah.
Revolutionary.
Very revolutionary. Excited to see the future of it and, um, excited to see what's next and how it's integrated into, our devices and whatnot. Um, yeah, pretty dope there. We want to transition a little bit into something else that's pretty dope, which is Latinos and immigrants are some of the most entrepreneurial people in the United States, right? And we got some data to back that up. So last year, immigrants started new businesses at more than double the rate of US born citizens, according to a recent analysis. All right, immigrants coming into the United States are starting new businesses at a more than double rate than some of the folks that we have here in the United States. About 670 out of 100,000 immigrants launch a new business each month in 2023. So they're coming over here, they're starting businesses, they're getting the ball rolling, right? Um, yeah, what are your overall thoughts of that? We'll dive into why is there starting businesses, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the data kind of shows something that we've been seeing. Literacy rates obviously have been dropping in the United States for years. So it's a desire, it's the hunger, I think.
Hmm.
It's a sentiment of the country to want to try to create, to own your own and do better things. It's almost like we revert back. We had a very strong time where people were starting up entrepreneurial endeavors and things like that. I think it's reverted back now. I don't know overly why, but I mean, I have a few thoughts, but it seems like we kind of reverted back to more like working for someone and trying to get that job and trying to, find wherever that place is. And maybe it has, I mean, I thought the pandemic had kind of curved that a little bit, but it seems
Hmm.
maybe it could have reverted some people to say, well, I do need some type of stability in a place that won't just let me go or however, whatever. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm interested to see the stats on it because what I know is that Latinos coming over to this country, they already come from a place that's difficult. The majority of them come from a place that's extremely hard. So when you come here, the hard that we
Hmm.
associate here in the United States, that's not hard for them. It's a joke. It's very lightweight, right? They're like, oh, all I got to do is just go work for 12 hours, 12, 13 hours. Wait, and they pay me like how much? And they're like, oh, yeah, I can do that, right? Versus someone, I don't want to do that. So, it's a mindset, it's a mentality thing for sure.
100%. I think it's interesting that you brought up that, there may be kind of a shift in people wanting to work a job. And
Yeah,
maybe there is a huge group of people, because let's be honest, these numbers sound great, and I think they're pretty encouraging. But starting a business is not for everybody. Being an
it
entrepreneur
isn't.
is extremely hard, extremely difficult. And like you said, there could be a situation where immigrants are coming from other countries and they're coming to the States and they're saying, yeah, this is easy work, this is a cakewalk. There could also be a group of people that are coming from one bad situation into another bad situation. They're like, you know what? Screw this business. Let me just go get me a job where they're going to pay me. And, I'm cool with that. So I can also see that as well.
I could see it. Yeah, I mean, and some people, um, I was looking at there was some reports or some interviews about some Dominican people had gone to New York, right? They moved to New York City, cool, and they stayed up there for a little while, and they're like, dude, you know what? Screw this. I'm
Mm,
gonna just go back home. And it's like, yo, I'd rather struggle at home and I'll try to find something than be here. And so I think there's a mix of that. There's a mixed sentiment of
mhm,
that for sure. But I do know that and once you have what we say like a hustler's ambition and you have that ambition to just grow and be better and self-develop yourself, if you travel thousands of miles through various dangerous difficulties or however, whatever,
mhm,
a job is going to be the least of your worries. Like that's the
for sure.
smallest amount of harm or hurt for you. You're probably very mentally strong to go through that. So when
Hmm.
it comes to a job and showing up every day and doing whatever you have to do, that's easy, right?
Hmm.
Even creating a company, right? The steps that we would think are hard and oh man, I gotta wait in line, I gotta do this paperwork, I gotta right. They're just like, no, I just need to understand what it's requiring and I'll do it. Cause I just traveled 3,000 miles
Hmm.
through rivers and all kinds of madness,
Hmm.
right, to get here, or I came legally, and it's hard because I don't speak the language. Like, so that's what I see about it. I see us. We've always been a super hardworking people, right? Latinos have always been super hardworking. Now we're tying the education and the know-how in the American economic system to that grit, that hard
Hmm.
work. So now I'm going to put the hard work not just in places where you think I should be, landscaping, cleaning, blah, blah, right? All the traditional whatever. Now I'm tying it into entrepreneurial endeavors. I have a business. I'm running various businesses. It could be tech, it could be banking, financial, whatever, but they're getting
Mhm.
into a space that's, making a bigger impact. That's what I see.
100%. I think tying that hardworking mentality with working smart too.
Yep. Yep.
Instead of me working 15 hours a day by myself, why don't I bring on a crew and I just
Sure.
manage them? Then
Yep.
I can develop somebody to be a manager so they can develop the crew. Now I can go learn tech, go do something
Yep.
else.
Do whatever I want to do.
So 100%. So one other statistic I wanted to throw out there, Latino-owned businesses of all sizes contribute to $800 billion to the U.S. economy last year. $800 billion. That is insane.
That's insane. Seems
Yeah.
like seems like if you didn't have these people, it'd be a big hole, right? I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe that might go over some people's head. I don't know. Anyway, just tossing that out there a little
Yeah,
bit.
man, hey, we got a couple states to talk to.
I'm just, I just kind of,
Yeah.
toss that out there a little bit, just so let that sit, let that marinate a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll let that marinate and we'll transition into Argentina and what's going on out there. So prices in
Crazy.
Argentina have surged so dramatically in the recent months that the government have multiplied the size of its biggest banknote by five to 10,000 pesos, which is worth roughly around 10 US dollars. All right. So man, it's crazy. So Argentina pretty much promised to lighten the load for many residents who carry around giant bags, occasionally suitcases stuffed with cash for simple transaction. You may be thinking like, yo, this don't even make sense. Like, what are you talking about right now? The inflation is so bad out there that just to go grocery shopping, I seen a picture of a woman that had like a wad of money like this. I thought she was going to the strip club.
It's
It's,
just,
I'm talking about crazy. So Argentina's annual inflation rate has reached 287% in March, amongst the highest in the world. And man, it's absolutely insane. And so Argentina's central, this is the last thing I'll say, and we can discuss it. Argentina's central bank said it would introduce an even bigger bill, a $20,000, 20,000 peso note later this year, just to help with, simple transactions so people don't have to carry around as many banknotes to do, simple things in life. It's pretty crazy. I think we actually should do a whole episode
it's
on
wild.
what's going on in Argentina.
It's wild. It's actually, people don't actually understand that the actual ingredients or the what's being exhibited in Argentina is just, to me, starting telltale signs of things that are more to come for other countries. Argentina was actually, if you look back in 2020, Argentina was an emerging economy. Brazil and Argentina are the two major
Hmm.
economies that are there in South America. They were doing well. Inflation was low. The exchange rate of dollar to peso was much lower, right? Finance was growing. Their agricultural exports were growing. All this stuff was happening, and you had the pandemic happen, and everything kind of switched for them. And I think that we talked about this, I think 2 or 3 episodes ago when we did the in person, but we were talking about Ripple. This is the
Hmm.
place where you could implement one of those type things into a country like this. And what it does is it negates a lot of the exchange cost and fees. And I say, hey, you know what? The Argentine, administrations, they bring in Ripple and they say, hey, we really need to try to figure this out. Hey, Elon, we have graphite and different ores down here in our country. Bring business down here and mine
Hmm.
this stuff. Hey, Amazon, right? So then you sit and you have a forum and you get with Ripple and say, hey, all of you big companies come here, open up here. And then maybe if you could accept Ripple and then people started to learn, you could teach people how to implement that type of stuff. Not only does it help Ripple, it helps the economy, it kind of levels things off. I'm just giving examples, maybe things that I think of because it's only going to get worse for them as their currency continues to go or lose its value even greater. I mean, to have to do what we're seeing right? Get to a $10,000 note. And so that way you can eliminate the actual amount of paper and amount of
Hmm.
money that people are using. It's never a good sign. Um, Something's going to have to be done. And I think it's going to have to be done by the actual administration, like the government. It's going to have to start finding creative ways, either bringing in jobs or finding out ways to try to cut down on the exchange of imports and exports and goods. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see like what their plan is and how they're looking to solve this. I mean, because it looks like they're just gonna keep creating bigger bills. I mean, this could be what was it, Zimbabwe that this could be the next situation like Zimbabwe where they had like $1 million banknotes.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I think people should start actually taking more of a notice or more follow the copycat of Kenya. Kenya gold backed their dollars, right? Their actual
Hmm.
currency. And what they saw was inflation drop. They saw the value of their money increase rapidly because it was based upon a commodity or upon an actual an actual hard base, which is gold, right? And
Hmm.
gold is the greatest asset actually in the world. I was looking at market cap. Gold has the highest market cap in the world, right? And so it's backed on something. I think people should start thinking about that because even in the US, our money isn't backed by anything. So we should start, like maybe people should start looking at Kenya and looking at like, oh, it's gold, like it's backed by something. So if everything fails, we can at least have an exchange amount for
Hmm.
something that's worth something inherently, right? Which is gold. So maybe Argentina wants to look at that. I don't, they're not part of BRICS or anything like that, but maybe that I don't know. I'm just saying
Hmm.
these are the type of things that
Absolutely.
start to come in people's minds because they're in a very bad place. So either the U.S. is going to step in and help them out and maybe create some programs that teach them how to implement some things, or you'll have other countries that step in and lend a hand, and then Argentina's in line with those countries. So
Hmm.
it's going to be interesting, and it's a very big strategic partner in South America.
100%. And so I had one quick question before we had here. You mentioned Kenya is now backed by
Yeah.
gold. What does that process look like to make your currency backed by a commodity? Like, are we just writing up a legislation of like this is what it is, or how does it work?
No, your economic system has to actually go in and revamp the way you actually align your economy, right? So this takes years of planning. This actually
Hmm.
takes time to look at goods, adjustable imports, exports, how we're going to qualify to say what something is worth, what the note actually equals to an amount of what does one Kenyan dollar or rupee equal to, how much gold. So it takes an actual system and you have to back it by your debt of the country, what you're able to get a hold of and what you can actually leverage. So it's a process. It takes
Process,
time
yeah.
to do this. Yeah, and they took that time and invested the time to do it, and it's reaped crazy benefits from travel, all kinds of stuff that's
Mhm.
happening more with them. Trade has been opened up more because of the backing. It's seems like the way to go. Well, it worked for
Mhm.
them, and I mean, I don't know. Argentina may have some other thoughts or something, but it seemed to work very well. So
100%, 100%. A lot of great information. As always, we're going to leave the links to these articles in the description of this podcast. And if you guys can also do us a favor, if you learned anything on today's episode, please do us a favor, share this episode with one other person, maybe even just share it to your Instagram, tag us. We would love to repost you guys. Um, and we thank you guys for the support. And as always, the Latin Wealth family, we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.